Good morning, evening, and afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the ExpertZone TV ANZ podcast. What number are we on now, Fletcher?
Number 47.
47. So,
Yeah.
what I quite like is the fact that we have jumped onto this success, the monumental success that is the NZ podcast. And we've just tacked on the A to the beginning of it and said that we are just as much as part of the success as anyone else. But we all really know, Fletch, that you are the Leonardo DiCaprio and we are just the supporting actors.
I don't think I've ever had this many compliments from you guys.
Yeah, well, normally, a bit of background onto what we were just doing before the podcast started was we were flinging insults at each other. I feel like we need to fling around some compliments just to make sure that we are back on balance.
To be fair, we did say you had a pretty face, Steve.
Get him one.
You take it away, bro. You take it away. You've got a nice voice. You've got a pretty face.
Can you leave that little bit in, please? Yeah. I just want to tell my wife that people think I've got a pretty face other than her. Yeah, and hopefully that will make it in to the podcast. We never know. Anyway, we are joined by some of the likely subjects from the last couple of podcasts. We have over in Sydney, Darren Milton, our commercial master trainer. Hey, Darren, how are you, mate?
Good, mate. How are you doing?
Yes, very well, thank you. Over in Brisbane, we have Mr. Andrew Pearson. Hey, AP.
Hey, everyone. How are you?
And we also have the legend, the man, the myth, the legend that is with fresh cuts, by the way. Fresh cuts.
Yeah.
Loving the hair. Mr. Fletcher Mayo. Oh, look at it.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
Bruno,
bro. Yeah. If only I maintained it and tried to look this good every day.
Yeah. I always find that whenever you get your hair cut, which clearly for me is not often, your hair always looks amazing, and then the next day it just looks like a rat's nest.
Yeah. You should just do, shave the side of your head, Steve.
Just one side.
Yeah, just one side.
Yeah.
Definitely an improvement.
It might be a slight career limiting move. I'm not 100% sure about that one. Oh dear. Well, let's get into things because we've got a bit of a jam-packed schedule. You wouldn't believe it, guys, but we actually prepared for this podcast rather than it being ad hoc and just a chat. We actually decided that we would plan things and go through a few things. So we're going to bring things back. Actually, we're going to bring things across the ditch, Fletch. We used to do something in our old podcast called the nostalgia segment. And I don't know if you've done it in your podcasts at all, but it worked quite well because it meant that we got to take the out of Andrew Pearson's age. Normally, is what comes out of this. We talk about different things because whenever we talk about a nostalgia segment, we talk about things that happened in probably the 2000s, and then AP talks about something that happened in the 1930s. So it's always a nice little moment here. So the nostalgia segment, basically what it is we ask a question and we ask you to dig back into the archives of your brain to think of something that kind of brings back and reinvigorates a nice memory or a nice story for you. So what we're going to do is I'm going to ask the question, what is your favorite game that you've ever played on any platform? It could be any platform. We've just signed a monumental deal with Sony, which is all over the news. So it can be any kind of game that you can think of that you've played in the past. What is it and why do you love it so much?
Deal.
Yeah. Let's talk to AP. Looks like he's got something to say.
I do. And I'm not ashamed to say this at all. I did used to work for Sony, and now we're friends, which is cool. But when I got my PlayStation 1 the first time, I love cars, I love driving games, and I thought I'm never gonna have enough money to be able to do up my car and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, if only there was a game, right, where you could change stuff and drive around and all that kind of stuff. And then I found Gran Turismo, and I was like, oh my god. This is this is me. This is the best $100 investment that I've ever had in my entire life. You have no idea the excitement on my face. I'm like, but you can put that big engine in that little car. That's amazing. I'm going to drive a Mini around with a twin turbo V6. This is fantastic.
Sounds like such an Australian.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Hey, look, man, we're not all rich English people, mate. You did send us here for a reason, but that's okay. But moving on from that, like just to bring it back into Microsoft, not just because I worked for them. When I started working for Microsoft, it was a big switch to go from Xbox and having done Gran Turismo for so long. And I'm not just saying this because I work for us. The Forza franchise thing, my God, it's so much better. Well, I think it's so much better. It's not that Gran Turismo is bad, but I think it's so much better. And with haptic feedback and stuff on the controllers, like for me, gaming, all I do is racing games and pretty much one because that's how the sad individual that I am. But at the same time, that's what I do in my spare time, and I absolutely love it. So it's gone from something that started just then to now. I mean, hopefully some of you guys have played Forza 7 and all that kind of stuff, and the 3D physics models and the graphics and stuff just blows your mind. And for a car enthusiast like me, it's just money well spent every year.
I've even just like driving the cars in Forza is so much better than any other game as well, right? Like it feels so much more real.
Well,
like it's
right. You know, there's a can in the States. There's a tire testing facility where everyone goes and tests their tires. I think it's CanStar or something like that. Anyway, that's where we test our physics models for the tires for Forza games. And our physics models are so good now that racing teams are buying our physics models and using it for their own race teams basing on the tyre. Because realistically, the car can drive however it likes, but it's how the tyres affect and temperature and all that kind of stuff. And when the guys from Turn 10 told me that a couple of years ago, I was just like, what? You know, and that's, it's true. That's, I mean, you know, Formula One, everyone knows I like it from other podcasts, but that's how they do their simulations, right? Well, it's part of their simulations in there. And the fact that we're putting it in a game for $120 or whatever it costs is pretty bloody cool. So
yeah. I was at like
I know, right? Mind blown. See, I do have good things to say sometimes.
I was actually at an expo, and we had some like racing wheel setups not too long ago, and we had like Forza Horizon on it, Forza Horizon 3, but we had the different seasons on each one. And the snow one, everyone ended up avoiding because they could not drive on it. And then this guy comes along in like this, like Mercedes like racing shirt. He was obviously part of like some go-kart team or some New Zealand racing league, and he was just nailing it. And I was amazed. I was like, this guy is just crazy. Yeah. It's awesome to see that it's so realistic that only proper racing drivers can drive in the snow sometimes.
Well, that's absolutely right.
I think just on that, like we're going to continue going on the nostalgia train, but because AP kind of went from something that happened about 35 years ago to all of a sudden something that happened last year, we should get AP on to do a Forza stream on the Mixer channel. So look out for that, guys. We will absolutely get AP on to do. We'll all jump on and we'll stream. We'll play some racing, and AP, you can lead that one because it sounds like you are all over it with the knowledge.
Yeah, I love it. So I'm more than happy to do that.
Fletcher, what have you got for us for a classic game?
Man, this was a hard one because I was thinking of some not so classic games. Like Steve knows I was a big fan of Destiny, even though he's not necessarily a fan. But I couldn't go there. It's too recent. I'm not going to go all the way back to like Crash Team Racing or some of the OG games. I'm going to go kind of in the middle and go with BioShock.
BioShock. You talk about this a lot, actually. Yeah.
And yes. I am a huge fan of BioShock, so I'm glad that there's a BioShock collection game because that means I'm technically allowed to talk about all three of them, right?
Yeah.
So I love all of them from BioShock 1 and 2 to BioShock Infinite, and people who have watched the podcast before know that I'm normally into story-driven games more than like PvP online, and BioShock just like straight into the most amazing story-driven game with the best ways to make your mind warp as you're trying to comprehend different things that have happened. So I love that kind of creepy feel. I love that it's set back in some of the really cool olden day times. So you've got like the 1910s, the 20s and 30s. I love that atmosphere.
Yeah. Make a comment about Andrew Pearson's age again.
He's like,
You could already see me looking at you, couldn't you? I was waiting for it.
You're like,
do you remember back then?
It's a great era. Great era.
It is a great era, mate.
Yeah, I absolutely love that game, and I have sunk too many hours into that. And BioShock 2, when that came out, I decided that I needed to experience every ending because I wanted to, figure out how like the different choices I made in that world affected the overall story. And instead of doing it like the easy way and like saving halfway through the game, was like, no, I've got to have the full experience. So I completed that game 6 times, pretty much back to back. That is how much of a fan I am of that whole series. So definitely a very good game.
I did the same with GTA.
Yeah, just remembering all the amazing BioShock gameplay. The animation of it, like the fear of a Big Daddy turning around, like big red head, like with the drill coming through to attack you, and then you've got the different powers, and then you're using the ammunition.
Also, like
amazing gameplay.
Like all the videotapes you can pick up and find out about different stories, like all the little stories that you kind of encounter along the way. Like I love that in-depth side, and I'm someone who takes far longer than necessary to complete a run through of a game like that, just because I am the guy who goes and finds all the like recordings and listens to them. I'm the one who found like all the little sisters to rescue, all the big sisters to fight. I went in probably too deep in that game, but I have no regrets.
I think that game taught me to search every nook and cranny of any area to find some sort of loot or coins or potential new item. And I've now transferred that across to every open world game that I can, just to find the little things.
Mr. Darren.
Cool. So I've played on a lot of consoles, PlayStation 1, 2, but I'm going to stick to when I first got my Xbox 360 Elite. My favorite game, and I've followed the franchise across and played all of them, and I'm going to talk about Gears of War. So Gears of War was an amazing first-person shooter that I could play cooperatively with my best friend when I first got it. It was just the whole rustic sort of feel. The world has been taken over by by the locusts, and these mercenaries were coming through and just fighting off. The gameplay, how you could run up and then smash against some cover, and then you've got this chainsaw gun just to run through it all, was absolutely amazing. Plus finding all the different cogs, battling all the different areas, and just how large and the scale of the game and the characters that were in there. Every game of Gears of War, 1, 2, 3, 4, the characters where you've got Marcus and what's his other? Sorry. Yes, Marcus and Felix. I played Felix. I can't believe I forgot his name. Played all the way through, and just how the characters went across. Like you got Baird and the Coltrane. Woo woo! So much fun. So much fun. Yeah. Fantastic. Here comes the Coltrane. Woo woo! And then obviously Gears 5 coming out very soon. Very excited to play this one through. It's one of those games I downloaded Gears of War 4 on Game Pass. My mate came over. We spent a whole day starting from the beginning all the way through the end. Found heaps of stuff. I had an absolute ball of the time.
Good. I love games, and I find that you get these games that co-op multiplayer brings these different elements, these different stories to life.
Yeah.
Where you work together. But Like it's a virtual world where you're creating virtual friendships, but those friendships extend out into the real world as well. So I know Darren, you played with obviously a friend, but there are people that jump online and I could use this. My brother-in-law plays Dota. I've never played it, never wanted to play it, never cared about it, but he has a friend that lives over in Utah, I think it is, and they are like inseparable on WhatsApp and Messenger. Like they are sending each other memes and they're chatting.
What's the game?
Dota.
Sorry, Dota. Yeah.
Is it an
Did we
acronym?
mention AP was born in 1910?
Yeah.
Man, Doom was a sick game when I was a kid, right?
Doom is
Absolutely.
very cool.
So he's all over this, and now this guy's flying over for his wedding, and he's part of he's in the groom's party and everything like that, for this, and it's all through a game. So I love how those kinds of games can change the element of how people interact. Like Fletcher, I know that you and I have been playing Sea of Thieves quite a lot, and that's brought a new lease of life to the game for me because I get to play with a mate and we get to create our own stories and we have our own fun, and it's good to chat about.
Yeah, it's really good, except for when we get sunk by a galleon in a ghost galleon last night.
Yeah, that did happen.
That was terrible. I got
Anyway.
on for an hour and got destroyed.
Yeah, that is great.
What's your favorite game, Steve?
I'll talk about my game, yeah, and it's a fairly, for me, it is a big nostalgia one. I don't know if you can tell, but I used to be a bit of a skater boy, and it's something that I was never really good at. I was fantastically mediocre at it, and all the rage for the people in my group was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. It was 2. The first one wasn't quite as good. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 was the one that kind of really got us all. And we used to literally gather around a friend's house. We'd go out for a skate during the day. And then in the evening, we'd go round to somebody's house. We'd put on Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 and we would play it till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, trying to out combo each other. So literally we'd have an open session and we'd have one person on the controller and they had to do the longest, biggest combo they could. And then someone else had to beat it. And it was just epic nights of that and Guitar Heroes were the two games that we jammed so much of an evening. And Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, I've got a lot of fond memories about that one. So for me, that is my game that I like to recall and remember.
I've spent tons of hours on that game myself, learning all the combos, fine-tuning my character, unlocking all the different bits and pieces, and building my own skate parks. I think that was
my gosh, how good was that?
Most fun, building my own skate parks and all the different gaps that you could create and naming it all. Fantastic.
I used to actually rent that game from the library.
Yeah, that is.
From the library.
AP used to have the stick and the hoop that you move down the street, you know.
At the place I used to go to, you could rent a Nintendo NES. Or what was it? Is that what it was? Nintendo NES? Or Super NES, right? You could rent them to take home for the weekends because they were so expensive. Oh, I forgot that.
Was that from Blockbuster? Do you remember that place?
Something like that. Yeah. That's cool.
All right. So let's keep moving because we are running out of time and we have a lot to cover. So, Darren, do you quickly want to cover off? I know you've got something that you want to talk about that's quite heavy on your heart, or you want to make sure that people are aware of.
Yeah, definitely. So from a worldwide perspective, from Microsoft themselves, we have. I'll start with the first really important date. I know we spoke about this before on one of the other podcasts, but I definitely want to bring it more to light for everybody because it's coming up faster than what people actually realize. It is Windows 7 end of support. Windows 7 has been around for over 10 years. The magic date that it becomes end of support is, does anybody know?
Is it the 14th of January 2020?
Perfect. Thank you, AP. 14th of January 2020. That is it's like under 250 days away.
It's like 230 something?
Something like that. It's quicker than people realize. So, but from a end of support area, I mean, what does that really mean to our customers that are currently using Windows 7? It means that Windows 7 is no longer going to be supported, which means there's no more updates, there's no more security patches. So it's really important that people are aware that this date is coming. So at this
what
stage,
does that mean for people, Driz? Like, people are real bad at updating their PCs at the first place, but what is this actually going to mean for people when the support ends? Like, what are they going to do?
Physically, they probably won't notice that it has ended because their operating system will work like normal, but they are at a higher risk of any potential like malicious attack, phishing attack, or any viruses that potentially are out there that they may be targeted for.
Which is heaps of, right?
There are tons.
Yeah.
You remember when WannaCry was around? I heard that pretty much like 95% of the people who are actually affected by it were by unsupported operating systems.
Correct. So the operating system was out of date. It didn't have the latest security patches or anything like that. So I think that's where we can talk a lot more about Windows 10 with how it is the most secure operating system to date. It is consistently being updated with every other day. You have a Windows Defender antivirus update just pushed directly through the settings and updates, which makes sure that you are always up to date. We have Windows Defender built in that can actually scan all your documents for any potential malicious software or phishing sites as well. Edge is a very important player in this as well, which is the most secure web browser, where if you open up a PDF document in Edge, you'll actually scan it first for any phishing content to make sure that you're not attacked in any way. So
for my dad, right, who's got I don't even remember what it is, Toshiba laptop, whatever, that's running Windows 7. So all he needs to do is to just upgrade to Windows 10, and then his machine will be fine, right?
Yeah, I mean that's one way of doing it, but what we want people to be doing is upgrading their whole computer, because it's not just about the operating system, it's also about the hardware as well. They can give you more security benefits. Have you heard of BitLocker?
Right.
So BitLocker was around in Windows 7, but it's got additional hardware features now as well as software features. So something like a TPM chip, which is the Trusted Platform Module 2.0, that's built into any Windows 10 Pro machine with the operating system and the hardware together, can help encrypt your software and your documents from a way that if you were to leave your PC on the bus, a lot of people like myself take public transport to work. What happens if your backpack is stolen, you're having a nap on the train and your backpack's stolen, your PC's in there? Typically in the past, you could take that hard drive out, put it into another machine, and you could steal all that content and have that workaround. We've got great security features with BitLocker encryption software that you can actually military grade encrypt that. So then they would, if they would take the hard drive out and put it into the new PC, they still wouldn't be able to access the hardware because they need your BitLocker password, which is only on that PC.
Yeah, right. So for the lay person, like my dad, right, he's a school teacher. He's obviously, security is important for him. But if he gets a new modern PC, right, with Windows 10 on it, how's his experience going to be different between those two? Because his machine's about 5 years old and probably was the middle of the road one. So by having Windows 10 on there and having a modern PC, is there just going to be some general benefits for him on top of all the other cool security stuff, or is it kind of going to just be the same?
No, it'll be, Windows 10 is, we've got the best of Windows 8 and the best of Windows 7 combined to give you Windows 10. So Windows 10 is a very familiar experience to what we're used to with the start menu, with the file manager and all those sort of things. But we've got more integration with your Office 365 or your OneDrive experience in there as well. But from a security experience, I mean, we have a password or a PIN protection. But for some modern PCs, we've also got Windows Hello. So your fingerprint or your face, you are the password. So gone are the days where you would have to, what was my password, or write everything down. You can now simply just look or touch your PC and it will unlock and open up and ready for use.
I find as well, right, that just building off what D-Milt says, a lot of people, maybe like your dad, AP, they have a little bit of a fear almost in changing to their operating system, right? And there's a well-known quote, we heard it all at the Thailand TTT, where the fear to change, the pain of staying the same needs to be greater than the pain of changing.
Yeah.
But changing to Windows 10, it's actually really easy, and it takes away a lot of that pain because, for instance, your dad could just hit the Windows button on his computer, and instead of having to remember where he actually needs to go on the machine to access a program or to, find his file, he can just type what he wants in there, and it'll come up straight away. Yeah. So, like, having that one simple step so that it takes away that pain of how he can actually, maneuver and navigate his PC is awesome. Does he use the same websites all the time? Oh. I think your mic's off, AP.
AP, you're muted.
I was going to say, I think I might go buy it for him straight up, so I start having to be tech support for him all of the time. Right? It sounds like a brilliant thing.
Yeah. And then look, things like timeline as well, right? If he's using the same websites or using the same document over and over again, he can just press on timeline next to his start menu, and he can just go back and find it if he's used it in the last 30 days, rather than again having to remember how he searched for it online or whatever. It's just available and at his fingertips. So it's going to be easy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So just remember, guys, January 14, 2020 is Windows 7 end of support day. So make sure that you're telling your customers, making sure that they're aware. It's not a scare tactic. It's just making them aware that Windows 7 will no longer be supported. And then that's where we lead into all the features and benefits that Windows 10 paired with a modern device and partnering again with Office 365 just makes the complete solution and the better experience moving forward. Cool.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Mr. Milton. It's always a pleasure to listen to you talk.
Always happy to. Thank you.
So now, unfortunately, I get the pleasure of being able to address everyone to talk through Office. And we said in last week's episode that we're going to start kind of trickling through some information that we got from Thailand at the trainer that we went to. And this is a great opportunity to kind of talk through a few things. So I wanted to talk about Office in particular, purely because we're in a kind of weird place at the moment where Office is probably the only area of the business that's underperforming in compared to everything else. And there's a few reasons behind that. So I wanted to kind of share some insights and stuff that we got from Thailand. So currently at the moment, the Office business is navigating really, really tough waters. We're in a declining PC market. We're down 9% in the PC market. We have competing attach priorities as well, means we're down 2%. There's a huge shift from bricks and mortar store to online device sales. Online device sales is up like 4%. So that which is taking business away. And then again, that means that it's a shift onto this online module with unassisted retailers. So people are buying devices without the need of having a salesperson or anything like that. So we need to showcase where bricks and mortar retail stores with retail pros showcase the value and prove that it is actually essential that we kind of are involved in this decision process. Now, when it comes to Office, it's really important to kind of know that we are talking about it all the time with our customers. We did a study recently, and it showed that actually only 14% of people who purchased Office in a retail store was shown a demonstration.
14%.
14%. So out of 10 customers, 1.5 of them were actually shown a demonstration.
It's crazy.
Now, that means that they didn't speak to a retail sales professional. So they didn't actually speak to anybody in the store. Now, on top of that, if an RSP was if an RFP mentioned Office, so if a retail pro actually spoke to the customer about Office and provided them with a demo, that goes up to 89%.
What?
Yep. Which is huge.
That's
It's
huge.
Huge figure. Now, this now kind of got us into thinking about, what can we do to help kind of remind everyone that we need to have these Office conversations. And it came up with the saying, and the whole topic of the session. Can you guys remember what the topic of the session was?
Every device needs Office.
Every device needs Office. Probably a really corny, not so catchy line, right?
I'd say it's pretty catchy.
It does exactly what it says
Every
on the
device
tin.
needs Office.
Yeah, every device needs Office. And we say every device needs Office because I guarantee you, I come across it day in, day out. Now, there are people out there that believe still. My brother-in-law, he called me the other day and told me he bought a laptop and said it comes with Office on there, doesn't it? It comes with Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. My brother-in-law, he knows who I work for, right? But it's not, it's just everyday people believe this. And it's really important that we make sure, and it's a great segue, a great gateway into the conversation of Office. It's saying, you do know Office doesn't come with this, right?
Can I ask you a question as well, Steve?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I know that a lot of people in store face the challenge of, people coming in and having Office through their business. So do you have any good objection handlers for that?
What do you mean? Can you elaborate on that?
So, like some people come in and it's like, oh, but I have Office through my business.
Yeah.
So why would I need to buy it for my personal device?
Look, I think that there's definitely reasons and ways that we need to kind of mitigate those objections. Lots of things so we have a lot of students that do a similar thing as well. Yeah. I mean, there's we go into a lot of stores where students talk about, I get free Office with my uni. Why would I want to buy it? And it just depends on the kind of license that they have. Some universities provide free Office, but they don't provide OneDrive.
Yeah.
Which for me, Office, I would buy Office specifically for OneDrive. Yes, I use Word. Yes, I use PowerPoint for work. But OneDrive is where my life is stored. I have a phone, and literally every photo I take of my family, of memorable events, get uploaded into my OneDrive folder. Yeah. I could not physically live without my OneDrive. If I lose my phone, it's okay. Obviously, I feel like I've lost an arm, but all of my photos are backed up. So for me, it's OneDrive. Now, so there's lots of objections and things like that. It's making sure that we understand what Office 365 can give customers, but also what Office in general can do for people. And it's all about providing demonstrations.
Yep.
Okay. Now, what we wanted to do is, instead of just having a carte blanche, go and do as many demos as you can on Office, we wanted to create a gateway demo. So what is a gateway demo? What is something that we can do to showcase to every single customer that Office can do? Something that's available on all versions of Office, 365 and Perpetual as well. And we came up with the demo Tell Me. You guys all know what Tell Me does, and I'm sure when people listening to the podcast, you guys all know what Tell Me does. But it is a fantastic gateway demo to showcase the power of what Office can do for people now. Maybe they're a person who likes to write letters but has no idea how to structure a letter properly on Word. Well, you can type into the Tell Me, write a letter, and it will come up with a list of templates that you can use for letters. It speaks my language. I was talking to AP about this in one of our other sessions that we're recording. When I first started working for Microsoft, I got a document from the Xbox team that I wanted to cut and paste some stuff into an online module I was working on. And it had loads of legal markups on it, like all the black funny lines and stuff like that. I had no idea how to turn it off. I was a noob when it came to Microsoft. So I typed into Tell Me, turn off funny black marks. And it came up with, right then and there, it was like the second or third option down, bang, turn up legal markup. We tested this, AP and I tested this the other day. It's still there and it still works. It speaks Steve. It understands that I am dumb and I don't understand how to do things, right? But it works for everything, and it's across all applications, all programs as well. PowerPoint, Excel. How good would it be for us to know how to set up pivot tables and stuff like that just by typing it into Excel? It's amazing. So Tell Me is the great gateway demo. You get to know a little bit about your customer, and you can say, oh, this is Tell Me. This is how you can write a letter, and this is how you find the templates. Bang. It's a really easy gateway demo to then providing some more demonstrations to your customers that are both new and relevant to the customer. So many times I walk into a store and I actually see the retail pro providing the customer, an old lady, for example. We'll talk about Doris. We use Doris as an example in a lot of things. Doris is an old lady, and she's getting a demonstration of how to make a 3D dragon come to life in PowerPoint. When is Doris going to need to see that? When is Doris going to use that? One Doris out of a million might need that, but not every Doris is going to want to see that. So being able to make sure that there's a demo that is both new and relevant to them makes it what we call a wow demo. Now, if you don't do that, if you provide them with a demo that's, for example, new to the customer, but not relevant, they'll be like, so showing Doris how to create a 3D dragon. They're like, so why do I want to know that? Like, that's a so demo. If it's not relevant to the customer and not new to the customer, they're going to go, that's the same old, same old. It's just something that's always been there. And if it's not new to the customer, but it's relevant, so they know about it, but it's relevant to their way of life, they're like, oh, maybe this is pretty cool. Where we really want to hit home is that wow and relevant to the customer, making it relevant and new. So they go, wow, this is cool. How can I live without this?
Yep.
So that's what I just wanted to cover. That was some of the stuff that we covered off in the Train the Trainer in Thailand to do with Office, making sure that every device needs Office and that we are talking about Office to every single person, making people know that the device doesn't come with Office, and then providing a fantastic gateway demo, because we know that when demos are provided, customers are way more likely to purchase that product from you in the store.
Absolutely.
Just a little bit of a call out as well. So there's another end of support date that I want to share with everybody, which is Office 2010. Office 2010 is end of support as of October 13, 2020. So that's 508 days away.
Cool.
Wow.
There we go.
Yeah.
I love Office, but everyone needs to get on the new one because it's so better than 2010.
You can be so much more productive with it.
Yeah, I cannot wait.
Even the Tell Me thing.
Oh.
The Tell Me thing will change your mind. You try and help on 2010 and then use Tell Me on 2019 or whatever, and you will go, why have I still got this program on my computer? I need to go get 2019.
That's also, I know that we've got to wrap up in a second, but you have gotten my juices flowing, D-Melts and Steve. So I think we should continue building up on that, right? You too, AP. I know there's a fantastic story that you have about shifting from 2010 to 365. You told it at TTT. I'm going to remind you in between this podcast and the next one, because I think we can keep looking into Office and keep building up what it is. And you're going to tell an amazing story, and I'm going to leave it there and not share anything about your story because I'm going to build it up.
Cliffhanger moment.
Yeah.
Do you want me to tell it now or next week?
Next week.
Right.
I can't have you. We're building up the next one. We're hyping it.
Tune in next week for AP's smashing story. Oh dear. All right. Well, we do need to wrap it up there, though. But guys, thank you so much for jumping on and helping out with the podcast. As always, it is a pleasure talking to you guys. And for the people that are watching this on YouTube, thank you for jumping on and watching this. Again, if you've got anything you want covered in this, drop us a comment in the comment section. Smash that like button as well and get us subscribed. We will catch you on the next episode. As always, for all your social interactions and stuff like that, keep it locked to our Facebook and Instagram page. But for all of the courses, articles, and accreditations, keep it locked to ExpertZone. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Chosen one. Loving him is so much fun. I am the chosen one.